This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me for just 1 second. Let me feel like I got a little bit of a. Let me know, do I have a crazy sound coming back to you? If not, then I'm cool. But for some reason, for me, I feel like I got a robotic sound in there. I sound like a robot. Please let me know. Yeah, got a robotic voice going. Hold on for 1 second.
There we go. Is that better? That's better. There we go. My bad. I accidentally hit the wrong button.
Ladies and gentlemen. You see, I can do that.
Now it's off.
Now I can do,
I accidentally hit the wrong button. Here. My bad. I'll fix it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. All right, we back in business, ladies and gentlemen. My bad. Anyway, the New York Knicks take a L again to the Toronto Raptors, ladies and gentlemen. Deaf to auto-tune, Uncle Fulio. Deaf to auto-tune. But the New York Knicks taking a loss to the Toronto Raptors. Took a loss to the Raptors, 125-116. Proving that this team is definitely
our arch nemesis and Achilles heel.
And I don't want that to happen. It just did it on its own. I don't know what's going on with my little machine over here. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
I must have hit something. Okay.
Hopefully this thing will stay off now. I don't know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. But anyway, the New York Knicks, man, taking a loss to the Toronto Raptors once again. In a rough display of basketball for the Knicks. 16 turnovers. We talked about that. That's basically, that's where I want to go with this, among other things, but I want to start with that. 16 turnovers for the Knicks. To the Raptors, 7. And it's been the story of every single game the Knicks have played the Raptors. The Knicks turned the ball over more than the Raptors. The Raptors came into this game averaging 7 turnovers versus the Knicks. 6 turnovers versus the Knicks. They had 7 tonight. Okay? Taking care of the ball. The Knicks, 16 turnovers. They came into this game averaging 14 turnovers. Right? 14 turnovers. And they gave up 16 tonight. And really, that's not the only story to the game. Obviously, the Knicks defense has not been good. It was not good tonight. Time after time again, you've seen the Raptors end up with open 3-point shots. The Knicks obviously, have no rim protection. They have a hard time stopping people from getting to the basket. Not a team that the Knicks match up with well. And they've sent the Knicks onto a 4-game losing streak, ladies and gentlemen. Right? I just seen Evan Hayes say they averaged 16 turnovers against the Raptors, so that's not surprising. No, it's not surprising that you have a high number of turnovers versus the Raptors. It's not surprising, but if you want to beat the Raptors, you got to take care of the ball. Because the Raptors don't turn the ball over much. And tonight, the Raptors were very efficient from the field. 45% from the field, 44% from the three-point line. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. Right? They take care of the ball so they don't turn it over, and they shoot well. And they get their hands on everything. They get deflections everywhere. They make it tough for you to get to the basket. But you got to be able to battle through that. And you can't turn the ball over frequently. The Knicks did so in the first half. They turned the ball over a lot in the first half. Less in the second half. But you get down 17. How do you expect to really battle back and have enough energy to win the ball game against a team like the Raptors? Or at least a team, I don't want to say a team like the Raptors, like they're a championship level team, but at least against a team that battles you the way that the Raptors battle you. You understand what I'm saying? Because the Raptors battle the Knicks. I mean, I don't watch Raptors games. I don't know if they battle every team the way that they battle the Knicks. But ladies and gentlemen, the way that they battle the Knicks it's crazy. The amount of fouls in these games, sometimes it's crazy. You know, guys hitting the floor all over the place, this and that. But we've been through it. We knew it was going to be that kind of a basketball game. The Knicks got to be able to get stops. You got to fight through that and still be able to get stops. You understand what I'm saying? And if you're not going to be able to get stops, then, you know, you can't expect to win a basketball game. You know, and that's pretty much any team that you play against. You're not going to expect to get wins if you can't get a stop. You can't play good, strong defense. You know, the Knicks won the rebound battle tonight, 47-45. Due to, you know, Julius Randle had 19 rebounds tonight. 30 assists for the Knicks tonight, 21 for the Raptors. 4 steals for the Knicks, 12 steals for the Toronto Raptors. 12 steals. That's because they get their hands on everything, ladies and gentlemen. And the Knicks, you know, Julius Randle, he'll get trapped. Jalen Brunson, you know, they were knocking the ball out of Brunson's hands. You know, the Raptors, you know, they keep you uncomfortable. 4 blocks for both teams. Again, 16 turnovers for the Knicks, 7 for the Raptors. The Knicks shot 48.8% from the field, 43.9% from three. Only 69% from the free throw line. The Knicks have been struggling from the line as well. The Raptors, again, 45% from the field, 44% from the three-point line. They shot 80% from the free throw line. Both teams, 42 points in the paint. 26 second chance points for the Raptors, only 16 for the Knicks. The Knicks, 19 fast break points, 18 for the Toronto Raptors. A tough loss for the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. They're on a 4-game losing streak now. And heading into, you know, a tough schedule coming up. So, it's, it's tough, but I think the Knicks can come out of it. But it's tough right now. You know what I'm saying? Josh, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
Salute, Sam. Nice auto-tune start the show. That was pretty nice.
It wasn't exactly what I meant to do. But hey, I'll take it. If it's successful, people like it, yeah?
Unbelievable. 4-game losing streak for the Knicks. I told people beginning of the season, Toronto is no pushover. No. I already knew Toronto plays us tough, divisional game. And it just sucks that, you know, the Knicks can't pull out these divisional games. I know, all other divisions, we play well, but in our own division, we just can't seem to get over the hump and beat teams within our own division. And I think that's going to play a big part towards the end of the season in the playoff race as far as seeding is concerned. Because if Toronto is able to get near 500, It's going to be tough for the Knicks to win that. What do you call it? The head-to-head matchup. The head-to-head matchup.
All that stuff.
The tiebreaker if it comes close to down the stretch of the season. So,
right. I mean, they've
tough
already
game for
lost
us.
the tiebreaker to the Raptors now. Now that they've lost this game, the Raptors have the tiebreaker in the event that it comes down to that.
Right. And, Brooklyn, Boston, and Philly are tough. They're the top 3 or 4 teams in the Eastern Conference as it is, right? So, again, I just think it's going to be tough for the Knicks to gain traction in the division if they don't win these divisional games. So hopefully with the other teams, we can be able to make up a little bit of ground. I think Miami won tonight, so the Knicks are now back firmly into the 7th spot as it is right now. And I agree with you. The turnovers really hurt us today. The points off turnovers that Toronto got. One adjustment that I would like to see Tibbs make is instead of having Randle, when teams are throwing those double teams out there, instead of having Randle get the ball at the top of the key or behind the 3-point line, get him closer to the basket. I think that'll open up some things for Randle to probably see the floor a little bit better, because out there in the perimeter, I mean, he is just not showing the ability to handle those double teams well from all the way out there. I think it'll be a little bit easier for him if he's able to go closer to the basket, back to the basket, and find people that way out of those double teams as opposed to at the top of the key on the 3-point line.
See, my biggest
that's one
issue,
adjustment I think that Tibbs can make.
Okay. Yeah, but I think Randle can make an adjustment too, because my biggest thing with Randle and those double teams is he's always looking for the home run play out of the double team, right? He wants to find a person across the court who's open in the corner. And I get it, because you got 2 people on you, somebody's open. So he's always looking to find that person. And there are times when you just got to get it to the first available person, so that you're not getting trapped to the point to now you can't see anything. And that's, he holds the ball and he's got it up above his head trying to see the court, right? But then you got a team like Toronto who can trap aggressively, or sometimes you got, people with long arms and you can't see and you can't get the pass off. I'd like to see him just take the first available pass, whether or not, it's the open person or not, just give it to someone to get the trap off of you, so the ball can rotate and then the ball can find the open person, as it's being rotated, or you just start to play over or whatever it is. You know what I mean? He just holds it too long, and I know he's trying to find that home run play. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to find it,
I 100% agree with you. I think that is another issue, the holding of the basketball. Only two things can come from that. Or if you don't play it correctly, obviously, either the team is going to get a turnover and go the other way for fast break buckets, or they get a jump ball or something like that, right? And there were times where Randle, when he gets the ball in those situations, he's near the sideline, and Clyde says it all the time. That's another man right there against you, right? Right, yeah. Exactly. So I think, for me personally, and I totally agree with what you're saying. I just think it would be a little bit easier for Randle if he is closer to the basket, just in general. Forget about the double teams or anything like that, but just in general, inside the 3-point line, working inside to try to get calls and try to get baskets that way, or find open people that way. I think that'll be a little bit easier for him. Maybe Tibbs can implement that into the offense to try to help him out a little bit. But you're right on the money in regards to that, holding the basketball as well. I think in the third quarter, the Knicks did a better job of moving the ball around. Double teams were coming. Randle was making much more quicker decisions with the basketball. That's what got them back into the basketball game to take a 3-point lead. But
then
fourth
the
quarter, we just weren't able to hold it.
And the bench showed up at the top of the fourth quarter, right? The Knicks go into the fourth quarter tied at 86, I believe 88. It was 88, whatever it was, something like that, right? They were tied, and then the top of the fourth quarter, basically the bench gives it back, right? Toronto goes on a quick run, takes an 11-point lead, and the Knicks never fully recover. And I'm not blaming the bench. I'm blaming the depth issue. You know what I'm saying? And people can say, well, use Cam and this and that. The Knicks don't right now, especially with Emmanuel quickly out, and then Mitchell Robinson is out. So Jericho Sims, you still have Hartenstein on the bench. It's not like you took Hartenstein off the bench and put him in the starting unit. So Jericho Sims is starting at the center spot. So, he's still there. Not that he was going to give you points, but now, tonight Emmanuel quickly wasn't there. Obi gave you 14 points tonight, but clearly you needed more, and you need the bench to be able at least keep it even, right? Bench versus bench, to at least be able to keep it even until the starters can get back in the game. I was looking, it was like 9 minutes, and I was like, Tibbs, I don't care what people are saying about minutes. Put those guys back in the game. Forget all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're losing it right now. I think he came back with Jalen Brunson. R.J. Barrett was out there. He stuck with his normal rotation, I guess. But
Sim, here's how I look at that. And I know you may disagree, and I don't think the Knicks lost the game for this specific reason, the bench or whatever, by itself. I think it was a multitude of factors. Julius Randle played the entire third quarter. And I've been saying this for a long time. And I know that's the quarter when the Knicks got back into the ball game. But the reason why you kept those, and not just Julius Randle, a lot of people played the entire third quarter. But the reason why you kept the bench out there for a little bit prolonged period to start the fourth quarter is because you played the starters for the majority of the third quarter instead of giving Obi more time. Obi didn't see the floor in the third quarter at all after he had a superb first half. He only played 7 minutes in the first half. He didn't see the court again until the fourth quarter. So I think there should be a better way for Tibbs to utilize his lineups a little bit better as far as when they go on the floor. Honestly, the Knicks were making a run, and the bench kind of gave it away. But in the first half, the bench put the Knicks back into the ball game. Obi's 3-pointers, his 4 3-pointers or whatever, right? So I think there is a way for Tibbs to utilize his lineups a little bit better. I'm not a fan of the starters or any unit for that matter, particularly Julius Randle playing entire quarters. I just think it makes him more tired towards the end of the game. If you look at the minutes breakdown, he only played 33 minutes today, right? Which is right around his season's average, I believe.
37 minutes. 37 minutes.
37 minutes. Or he was 33 at the time when I seen it. I don't know why I said that. But that's right around his season's average, right? But so that's fine within itself if you look at the minutes distribution at the end of the game. However, it's when the Knicks or when Thibodeau utilizes those other lineups and makes his substitutions is what I really have a problem with. I don't think it necessarily cost the Knicks the game today. But again, we've seen time and time again, the starters, Julius Randle, be very, very tired at the end of games because of how Tibbs used them in the third quarter. So I would just like to see that change. But like you said, there's a multitude of different issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's a multitude
turnovers
of things,
that cost the Knicks the game today.
Right. Yeah, it definitely is. And, even at the top of the fourth, though, it was 88-88 with 10 minutes and 28 seconds left. The entire bench was in the game except for R.J. Barrett. But obviously, he had to be out there. And then from there, quickly, 10-28 is 88-88. And by the time we get to 9 minutes, by the time we get to 9-11, 8:50, within, a little less than 2 minutes, it's 99-88, 11-point lead. And then, of course, he starts to, he brings Sims in for Hartenstein. Randle comes in for Obi. And then from there, the Knicks could never really get back into the game. It remained, I think the lead got up to 14 or, some 16 maybe or something like that. But the Knicks could never get back in it. It's tough. I dig it. I get it. In the first half, I think Obi maybe came in the second quarter. I believe so. I believe it was the early second quarter. Yeah, I think Obi came in like late second quarter, somewhere around there. And then he played. He played a good portion he came in like late first quarter and then played a good portion. Just about 4 minutes left into the second quarter is when Randle was subbed back in. I dig it. I get it. What I'm saying? I'm not a big fan of playing, players the entire quarter unless you necessarily have to. You know what I mean? Actually, I don't know. No, I think maybe Obi came in at the top of the second quarter. Randle was in at 4 minutes and 2 seconds left in the first quarter. So, yeah, I don't think Obi came in until the second quarter. And then he played for about six, a little bit more than 6 minutes in the second quarter. But
played a total of 7 minutes in the first half. I think probably that's okay for the first half, but in that the second half, I mean, to sit Obi completely for the third quarter, to me, even if you want to keep Randle out there, you got to have Obi on the floor, to give us a little bit of scoring punch. He was the only one off the bench that was really scoring You know what I mean? So,
I mean,
I don't know.
it's
I'm
hard.
not really sure about Tibbs and these rotations.
The only thing I would say is that it's hard because, at the time that you're saying to bring him in, the Knicks were going on a run. Right? And by the end of the third quarter, after being down double digits in the third quarter, to start the third quarter, actually, they were down 10. By the time you finished the third quarter, it was 86-86, right? So at the time you're saying, well, bring him in, around 3 minutes left. I mean, about 3 minutes left. The Knicks were actually in the midst of a run. So it's hard to say, but I do agree, what I'm saying, players playing the entire quarter is very tough, right? 12 minutes straight, anybody's going to start to tire down. You know what I mean?
But don't forget, in the first half, when Obi was on the floor, the Knicks were making a run as well, right? So I don't think it's as I mean, I get what you're saying in regards to the timing in the game and what was happening during the course of the game. But let's say you bring in Obi a little, for a little bit of that third quarter, maybe you can keep Randle out there longer for the fourth, and you don't get that 11-point swing or whatever it was to start the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? It's just different ways that, you can do it. Either way, I don't think that was the reason, specifically the one reason why the Knicks lost the game.
No,
it's just a pattern that I've been noticing throughout the season when, our guys are getting tired at the end of games. And then Tibbs is kind of stubborn in that regard, but that's just who he is.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their, their style and rotations and when they're going to bring players in and take them out. I think he did leave Obi out there a little bit longer in the first half when he was hot. The thing is, when he came in that fourth quarter, and this is not just Obi. Obviously, it was, the entire second unit, wasn't really playing well. I still was a proponent of him playing Obi and Randle in a small lineup tonight. I thought that could have been successful, because of who they were playing. You know what I mean? Toronto's not in it, they're long, but they're not a super big team, that's going to just like really do a lot of damage inside. And Pascal Siakam is the kind of center/forward that plays out on the perimeter. And I thought you easily could have had Obi guarding either Precious Achiuwa or Scotty Barnes and had Randle guarding Pascal Siakam. I thought a small lineup could have worked for the Knicks tonight.
Agree 100%. Randle had how many rebounds? 18 rebounds tonight?
19 rebounds tonight. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't going to be an issue. I thought a small lineup really could have worked, especially tonight. The Knicks weren't getting stops anyway. You know what I mean? From no matter which lineup was in there, they weren't getting stops anyway. That could have added, just more ball handling, more versatility to the lineup, I think. It's not, Tibbs always talks about the rim protection. Ain't nobody out there to protect the rim right now. So, this was a time where I thought that small lineup could have helped, against this team. But he chose not to go with it, ladies and gentlemen. And, the Knicks dropped one to the Raptors, 125-116. And I'm telling you, I would hate for the Knicks to have to see the Raptors in the play-in in a one-game elimination style tournament or whatever. I would hate for the Knicks to see the Raptors. It'd be a bloodbath. It'd be a tough one for the Knicks to win. And then, of course, depending on, where they fall in the standings, it doesn't matter. If it's in New York or Toronto, in my opinion, it's going to be the same way. It's going to be the same way.
People think Randle's playing too much right now in that situation. Randle will play all 48 minutes of that game.
There's no doubt about it. Ain't no doubt about it. No doubt about it. He'll be playing every single minute that he can. You know what I mean? Shoot. The thing about the Knicks playing the Raptors and is one of the reasons why you really do need Randle out there is because of the aggression of the Raptors. Obviously, he needs rest, but they play so aggressive. You got to have someone who can handle that aggression and the physicality of the Toronto Raptors. You know what I mean? Because if not, then they're just going to bully you. And you can't afford to have that happen to your team. You know what I'm saying? And, Jericho Sims helps in that regard. But that's one of the reasons why, obviously he does that. He keeps Randle out there like that no matter who he's playing against. But you need him out there like that versus the Raptors because of the physicality and the nature of that basketball game. Randle tonight, 23 points, 19 rebounds, and 8 assists. He actually shot well from the field, 57% from the field, 33% from the three-point line, but he did have 4 turnovers. A lot of trapping, led to Julius Randle turning the ball over 4 times tonight. R.J. Barrett, 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. He shot the ball well, 55% from the field, 50% from the three-point line. Jalen Brunson started off the game really struggling. He ended up with 21 points, shot 40% from the field, 57% from the three-point line, 5 assists. Let me see. Jericho Sims was in double digits with 10 points and 7 rebounds, 1 block. Hartenstein had 3 blocks on the night. And then you had Obi, who was 71% from the field, 5 for 8 from the three-point line, 14 points for Obi, no rebounds, no assists, but he did have 14 points. He was hot from that three-point line in the first half. The Knicks just not enough defense. Turning the ball over, 16 turnovers and not enough defense is the 2 things that you could point to tonight, in my opinion, that leads the Knicks to their 4th straight loss and 3rd loss to the Raptors this season, 2nd loss to the Raptors in this 4-game stretch.
Right.
Yeah. So, where do you see the Knicks going from here, Josh?
Now you want my opinion on that?
I mean, I always ask for your opinion. I may not agree. I'm not talking about, their record, this and that. I'm just talking about, what do they do? What are they going to make some moves? Are they going to try to bring in a temporary replacement for Mitch? Or at least more depth from that position, a shot blocker, a rebounder. Who knows how long it's going to be for Mitch, before he gets back. The trade deadline is not far away. So where do the Knicks go?
I mean, I'm going to be consistent with this point. I don't think the Knicks should do anything short of going after a star player. If it's anything short just to add some temporary, stuff to the lineup, I don't think the Knicks should do, particularly if they're going to have to give away draft picks and draft assets. Now, if you're talking about getting rid of Cam Reddish, getting rid of Evan Fournier to bring in a player that way without having to give up picks, I'll take it because these players are not really in the rotation anyway. But if you're talking about giving up draft picks for something temporary, I do not want the Knicks to go ahead and do that because I don't think it raises the ceiling of this team for this season. I think it'll probably change the seeding around, help us win and get, into the 6th seed or anything like that. But I think as far as the ceiling of the season, it won't really change it that much. And you're sacrificing long-term assets or what you can use for the long term for something short-term. And I don't think the rewards are worth it, in my opinion. So if I'm the Knicks, I stay put. With anything short of getting a superstar player or the scenario of trading player for player to add to the rotation that way. I'm not giving up assets to do anything temporary right
now. I'm not opposed to. I'm definitely, Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish, Evan Fournier, willing to move those guys to bring in, some help on the bench. I'm definitely willing to do that. I'm not opposed to giving up a draft pick if I can bring in a player that's going, a young, 25-year-old guy. Maybe, his production isn't, superstar status right now, but, or I don't even want to say right now, production isn't superstar status, but it's, 20 to 25 that could give you some production on the bench and maybe have a future with your team. I'm not opposed to give up a draft pick to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that they're looking out there to see what kind of help they can get. They're going to be looking at the waiver wire, after, and I'm pretty sure they have some intel as to who may be waived and things like that. As the trade deadline nears and ends, you hear all of these rumors, right? So once the trade deadline is over, now people start to hit the waiver wire. They've been traded here and they get waived. They don't want to play there. And that's a lot of times that's a good place to find guys who can temporarily come in and produce for your team. You know what I'm saying? Guys get bought out or whatever it is. And a lot of times you can find some talent that way. Obviously, you hear the rumors about Serge Ibaka and the Milwaukee Bucks that they've agreed to part ways. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it would take for the Knicks to get Serge Ibaka if they got to trade for him. If I'm just trading a Derrick Rose or Evan Fournier, I'm on it all day long.
Absolutely.
All day long, I'm on it because I think that would be a good fit for this basketball team right now with Mitchell Robinson being out. You know what I mean? Now, for a guy like Serge Ibaka, if I have to give up a draft pick, and I'd give up a second-round pick, but I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Serge Ibaka. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's like what you're saying. That's a waste. You know what I mean? The only way I'm giving up a draft pick is for something that benefits me also in the future.
So Sam, as you mentioned the waiver wire, so I think the Knicks roster is at full capacity right now, so they're going to have to cut someone if they bring someone in off of waivers.
Right.
Now, the question is, are the Knicks willing to part ways with Ryan Arcidiacono, who is really good friends with Jalen Brunson? Now, and I know I get it. Ryan Arcidiacono is not even, he's not that type of player, but you have to consider the social impact of cutting someone like Ryan Arcidiacono, who is really good friends with Jalen Brunson. I know the fans be on it all day long, but in reality, when you talk about these locker rooms and these teams that have players who are kind of all-star players, they kind of can get what they want in that regard. So I'm with it all day long. I'll cut Ryan Arcidiacono. However, I don't know how Jalen Brunson will feel about that and, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because a couple of years ago, or maybe not a couple of years ago, last year when the Knicks, they signed RGD, they signed him, and then they waived him, then they signed him, then they waived him. I'm like, what's up with this guy? I never put two and two together that Jalen Brunson and him were best friends. Right. You know what I mean? Never put that together until now. You know that they're really good friends. I think if I had to, I would. If I really had to, I would. But if I can, if I can move Derrick Rose or Cam Reddish and stuff like that, and find ways to do that to bring in a player, then I would do that first. Serge Ibaka, $2.9 million. That's what he makes this season.
Is it expiring?
Yes. It's an expiring contract. $2.9 million. Shoot. I mean, that's basically the veterans minimum, right? Wesley Matthews makes $2.9 million from the Milwaukee Bucks. That's another veterans minimum. So, yeah, that's a veterans minimum contract. If you trade for, I don't know if, the veterans minimums, you can sign as many of those guys as you want. Now, if you trade for one of those players, you can sign those guys and it doesn't count towards your cap. Right. So I don't know if you trade for them, if it counts towards your cap. It may not count towards your cap even if you trade for them because they're on the veterans minimum. I'm not sure about that.
But so I don't know how much Cam Reddish is making, $7-8 million or something like that. So They would have to eat the money. So I don't know how the Knicks are able to get that trade. I get it's a little bit of money, but I don't know how the Knicks are going to be able to trade, Fournier, Rose, or Cam Reddish in that deal and convince another team to take on the money without giving up a pick. Because that's what will have to happen, right? That the other team is going to take on and absorb most of that money. Because Rose, Fournier, and Reddish are not signed to veterans minimums. So the team is losing that veterans minimum contract.
Right. They're not signed to a veterans minimum. If they're gonna waive him, then I would just wait until he gets waived and then sign him, off the waiver wire. Now, Milwaukee could always, and I don't think it would go this way. They could always, just to try to hold any team to say, hey, we want something. We want a second round pick. We want whatever, we just won't waive him. We'll hold him. We'll keep him here. That can entice a team to make a move. I don't know. Maybe the Knicks would have to do some kind of 3-team deal with,
and a third team involved.
Someone who's interested in Cam Reddish and, make that kind of move happen. Something like that. But that could be a good move, for the Knicks. Chuck D, was all over Mo Bamba, saying, go get Mo Bamba. Your thoughts on Mo Bamba? I mean,
I would love that.
right now he's not getting playing time for the Orlando Magic.
I mean, I would love to bring in Mo Bamba, but the question is, I'm not sure what his contract's looking like and how many years he has left, but maybe a little bit redundant with Mitchell Robinson over the long term, depending on if you keep Mo Bamba around. That's redundant. Mo Bamba can be someone that I think he's definitely can be a starter in the NBA, a starter in this league. I'm not sure if the Knicks can be able to pull that off and give up minimal things for him. And then at the same time, we got to think about the long-term implications with Mitchell Robinson here. Just signed Mitchell Robinson to a 4-year contract. So Mitch is going to come back at some point, so what happens then when you got Mo Bamba and Mitchell Robinson? You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know how that will work necessarily.
The way it would work right now is Mo Bamba would be coming off the bench behind him. It really would impact Jericho Sims or Isaiah Hartenstein, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's right now. But the question is, what are you giving up for Mo Bamba? You're going to give up draft picks for Mo Bamba, and again, it's that same situation. It's temporary relief, right? But what are the long-term implications of that? Is Mo Bamba going to be comfortable playing a bench role long-term to Mitchell Robinson? Are you going to sign Mo Bamba to something long-term? If not, then is it even worth giving up a first-round pick for him potentially? You know what I mean, with Orlando? So that's the question that I have in regards to that. I would love to have him. Absolutely.
Maybe they would be. Maybe you don't have to give up a first-round pick. He's kind of in the same situation as Cam Reddish. Maybe they're willing to look at it and say, okay, well, maybe Cam Reddish can come here and we can do something with Cam Reddish, and we can swap young guy for young guy that is struggling at a certain point in their not struggling, but not in a situation that they enjoy in a certain point in their career. But then also you're bringing in a guy that's kind of, if you bring in Mo Bamba to the Knicks, and here's my thing too, is it's kind of like when you brought Cam Reddish to the Knicks. There wasn't going to be a lot of room for Cam Reddish with all of the wing players that the Knicks had last year. Then he had to try to prove himself this year. If you bring Mo Bamba to the Knicks this year, okay, Mitch is out. You got Isaiah Hartenstein. Maybe he plays maybe he plays some minutes, or does he just sit behind Isaiah Hartenstein?
Key thing is for Cam Reddish, the Knicks actually gave up a first-round pick for him. Right? That's what I'm saying. If this is about not giving up a first-round pick, I'll do it. I have no problem with doing it. I just don't know if Orlando's going to do that. But if they don't, then hey, I'll go ahead and take a flyer on them. Give up a second-round pick. But the first-round picks are what I'm really worried about. I think in the Cam Reddish trade specifically, I don't think that first-round pick is really biting us right now. The Knicks took a chance on someone like Cam Reddish. Is not really biting us that much. However, you don't want to keep making those type of deals, particularly if you don't know if the coach is going to be willing to play said player that you're making a trade for, right? Because then there's the other part. If we bring in said players, Tip's going to be comfortable with said player. There's a lot of questions around the things for the short term with the Knicks. That's why I'm leaning towards the Knicks not really doing anything. However, if the Knicks are able to pull it off, they don't have to give up a first-round pick, protected or unprotected. I personally would do it. I just don't think it's worth it for the Knicks long term to go ahead and do something like that.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It's still some time left.
Yeah, and to be fair, I believe that the first round pick that the Knicks sent to Atlanta via that came to them from Charlotte was like heavily protected. You know what I mean? And probably wasn't gonna. The Knicks probably weren't gonna see that pick from the light of day anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because
but they could have used it. They could have used it in other trades, though.
They could have used it in other trades, right? And they could have used it. I guess they could have used it in other trades. I believe it was a pick for. It was a 2022 pick, so it was it was last year's pick. So I don't even know anything about that pick or what happened or where it went or anything like that. But it was a 2022 pick. That was done at the trade deadline or just before the trade deadline. Could they have used it later on? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, they didn't really make any other trades after that, but it was, a heavily protected pick that I don't think the Knicks were actually going to see. It was, protected the top 18 and 22, top 16 and 23, top 14 and 24 and 25. It becomes 2 second-round picks if not conveyed before 2026. Maybe.
It's a long time.
Huh?
It's a long time for those picks to convey.
Yeah.
The first-round pick to convey, at least.
So I guess we'll see, where that pick ends up. I mean, with Mo Bamba, I mean, does he come in and add? He doesn't add muscle to your team. Maybe he can add a little bit of outside shooting from that center spot. He can block some shots. To be honest with you, I'm just not sure if he, even if you did Cam Reddish, like does he bring a lot right now? Does he make you better right now? I'm not sure if he makes you better right now.
I mean, it's for that purposes, right? I mean, does Serge Ibaka make us better, that much better?
I do. I think Serge Ibaka makes you better right now because he's a veteran guy that's been in the league. He's been in the playoffs. He's played in tough games like the Knicks played against the Raptors tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got some of that experience. So, for a guy who hasn't really been playing a lot, he may be able to come in, that second half of the season, less than second half of the season, and still have enough left to be like, okay, I can give you some defensive block shots. You know what I'm saying? You're not relying on him for scoring and those type of things. And he has the experience, I think, to know how to still get it done. So I think that he could give you a little bit something to help you, even if it's just maintain a certain level of play without Mitchell Robinson there. And then when Mitchell Robinson gets back, you make a decision. What are you going to do, with Serge Ibaka, because you got Isaiah Hartenstein, et cetera, et cetera.
I wouldn't mind another veteran on the bench. I mean, I definitely wouldn't mind that at all. The question is just the price. I think Mo Bamba can help us as well with some of the things he can do while Mitch is out. I think the outside shooting is definitely a big plus. The team can use that as far as spacing the floor, something that Hartenstein was supposed to provide for us, but he obviously isn't doing that. The length is there. Mo Bamba can block shots, do a lot of some of the same things that Serge Ibaka can do, right? And he's younger, right? So you got to worry about the injury factor as well. So I don't know. I mean, either one of those players, I wouldn't mind having. Question is just the price for me. And either one of them, I don't want to give up a first round pick for, protected or unprotected.
Yeah.
And someone said, why don't we go after Dwight Howard?
I mean, isn't he playing over in like China or something right now?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
he is.
Doing something like that over there. I know. Danny Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Said, thoughts on trading Cam for Zaire Williams? Your thoughts on that?
I love Zaire Williams. I loved him when he was on Memphis. I think he's what team he's played for now. Is it still Memphis? He plays for another team now, I think. But I like Zaire Williams. He can shoot the three. He can switch positions. Basically do a lot of stuff that Cam Reddish is supposed to be doing, but he's not playing. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind that trade at all. I'll have to take a look at the contracts. But Zaire Williams could be a fit. Definitely can knock down a three ball. Much better shooter than Cam Reddish.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say about Mo Bamba, though, going back to Mo Bamba, don't mean to jump over the Zaire Williams thing, is I think one of the issues with Cam Reddish that maybe Tom Thibodeau has issues, problems with, or people within the organization have problems with, is motor, right? And I think that's another question with Mo Bamba, right? Motor. And I don't know if Tibbs wants to bring in another guy where you question the motor.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that could be an issue with Mo Bamba, the motor. You know what I mean? Because right now that's a big issue with, I think that's one of the issues with Cam Reddish.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see. The big thing for me is just making sure that whatever they do, they're on the same page. Tom Thibodeau, Leon Rose, those guys, they're on the same page, right? So that you don't have the Cam Reddish issue all over again. But this is Tom Thibodeau on tonight's game, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a listen. And then, tell me what you think about, his interview. Tell me how many times he said he's going to watch the tape. All right, let's check it out.
Third quarter there after the turnovers in the first half. No turnovers in the third quarter. Put yourself in a position down the stretch to win this one. What couldn't you maintain in the fourth?
They went on a run to start. I think they went 13-2 to start the fourth. So we got in another hole.
In the last 3 games, your first quarter, you guys have given up 35 plus. Can you pinpoint there defensively that you can do differently?
Yeah, we just got to do a better job.
Is it Mitch's? I mean, how much do you when you look at the defense?
I mean, Mitch is part of it, but I mean, Mitch isn't on the floor a lot. The other guys got to get the job done. We've, demonstrated we're capable of playing great defense. I thought the biggest problem was what we did when we turned the ball over. So I think they ended up shooting 45, but you turn live ball turnovers, those are fast breaks. So we gave them, I don't know how many points in transition, 26 points off our turnovers. It's hard to overcome it. But, yeah.
The reserves and RJ. Why didn't that group?
I don't know. I want to see the film. I know we fouled, we gave up offensive rebounds, and we turned the ball over. So that's usually a recipe to get you beat.
You talked about urgency and that, and then the first quarter, 37 points there. You feel something's still not there, right?
I mean, well, you got to be ready to go. I mean, I'll take a look at the film. I'll know more.
What did you see from Julius, 23-19 in 8 tonight?
Yeah, like there were stretches where we did good things. We're not doing enough good things to win, right? So, I mean, the thing is you have 30 assists. You shoot 49%. You make good percentage from 3. We out-rebounded them by 2, but they hurt us with the second shot. So, we always say defend, rebound, low turnover. So obviously we didn't have the low turnovers, and that hurt us.
When you look at just kind of where you guys are now, 4 in a row, and the schedule's getting tougher, how concerned are you with the way you guys are playing?
Well, I'm always concerned. I'm concerned every day. So, but it doesn't change how you approach anything. It's just, okay, we study, we have to improve, we have to do better, get ready for the next game. So it's not like we're not like overwhelmed. We know what we have to do. We got to get in, we got to work, and we got to correct things.
Right now, that maybe wasn't earlier. It's a consistency right now. What we're doing some good things. We're just not doing enough of them. So we have to get back to focusing on each possession is important, and we just got to be more consistent.
Some of that inconsistent, maybe schedule or guys missing, but you guys have been crazy streaky. 8-game winning streak, 5-game losing streak, 4-4. Just, are you confounded a little bit how these crazy streaks?
It's the reality of our league. You want to become consistent, so you want to prepare consistently, you want to play consistently. So I think, and the challenge is there's always going to be moving parts to the season. So you may be heavy travel, you may be down somebody, so it's how quickly can you adapt. And then sometimes it's, you're not playing well, and no one's coming to rescue us. We have to rescue ourselves. So let's get back to work, and we'll figure it out.
Coach, I know RJ's a pretty young guy, but what kind of leadership qualities do you see in him at this stage?
Well, I always think the best leadership that you could have are the things you do, not the things you say. Your actions reflect what your priorities are. So I think young players that are coming into the league, their challenge is, okay, how do you prepare each and every day? And it's not just, in a game, or it's how you conduct yourself in a weight room, training room, meetings, off season, fall practice, everything. So, and I think he's growing. So I think he's learning. I think a big part of learning is trial and error. So you got to go through things. So I like that he's very, very steady, and he's gotten a lot better. When you look back, sometimes you tend to forget. I look back 2 years ago, he was averaging 14 points a game. So he's made a big jump, and there's still a lot of room for growth for him.
Why is it why Fournier over Derek and Cam?
I thought he gave us good minutes. I thought, he's been in the rotation before. I like the size, the wing. They're big, so I thought a little more size might help in the shooting piece. I knew they would zone, and So, but that was the reason for that.
How frustrating is it? 2 games in a row where you do shoot the ball well and you play well offensively, but you really don't have much of a shot in the last few minutes.
Well, you're always disappointed with losing, but I'm never disappointed in our team. We've got hardworking guys, and we're disappointed with the result, but we'll be determined to get it right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Tom Thibodeau. Never disappointed with the team, just disappointed with the result. Determined to get it right. Josh, your thoughts on what you heard from Tibbs?
Same old, same old. Tibbs, the one thing I can't say I agree with him with is the fact that Mitchell Robinson is out, and he's still not making any excuses for the team. They still need to perform, right? I know Mitchell Robinson plays a huge part in what we do defensively, but Thibodeau said he thinks that we have the horses to be able to get it done defensively, right? And we say it all the time when the Knicks are, when they go on a winning streak and we beat teams that they don't have their full roster, they don't have the players, there's injuries all across the league, so the Knicks got to be able to snap out of it. So I like that message from Tibbs, basically, keeping his team accountable, and not letting them, fall into the trap of, the Knicks don't have this particular player, because as fans we're going to say it. Right, but I think the message from the coach, if that message is, no matter who's not here, we still got to be able to perform. I like that message from the head coach. So
yeah,
that's the one positive that I can take from it.
Right, and that's what it is, and that's what it should be. No matter who's not here, you got to perform. You got to be able to perform. You know what I'm saying? There's enough. They've defended before without Mitch being there. You know what I mean? And obviously. I'm not taking anything away from Mitch because, what he provides is hard to replace, but you got to be able to do it for a certain amount of games. You know what I mean? Isaiah, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Josh? What's going on, Sim? It's been a sad 2 days for New York sports.
Yeah, but, no doubt about that.
Hey, it's okay. The Cowboys are going to lose, so it makes me feel better. Sim, like the reporter said, man, I'm frustrated because of the streakiness. I would love, because I remember you talked about the last show with the Hawks. I would truly love for us to lose 1, get 3, lose 2, win 4. But it's right now. Hello?
Go ahead, man. You right there.
Oh,
Just giving you the spotlight, man. Brother. That's all. You getting nervous? You scared now? Come on. Just giving you the spotlight.
Yeah, so I did get scared a little bit. I got scared my foot.
You're scared of the spotlight, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, man. Say what you're saying.
No, so Sim, for me, it really is just the streakiness. And it's frustrating to me because, like you said before, we have won without Mitchell Robinson. And the Knicks can defend. We put up enough points. And that's to me, the problem is not us putting up. The problem not putting points is that we're not defending. We're not rebounding in crucial minutes. To me, the fourth quarter is more frustrating because I feel like we're playing with tired legs, and it's just like they put up so much emphasis in the third and fourth quarter, but we just lose. We just lose it all in the fourth quarter now. Now it's a trend of. It's been a trend for a while now, Sam, that the fourth quarter has been terrible for the Knicks when it comes to like either big leads or us just just imploding in the beginning of the fourth now. The last 2 games, Sam, we have literally, and the game has been pretty much over in the beginning of the fourth quarters of how we lose leads or how we let leads balloon to 10 to 12 to 15 points in the first couple of minutes of the quarter. And it just showed that we have tired legs, and it showed that right now this rotation isn't it. The bench players aren't it. And our starters are losing a lot of energy. So it's just frustrating because it's like I want to get to a rhythm of us losing a game, winning 3, losing 2 games, win 5. And it sucks because Sim, I remember me told Sim, I feel like we jinxed it.
Let me ask you this though. How do you change when you're talking about the top of the fourth quarter and in the top of the fourth quarter, you put in 3 bench players with fresh legs, right? And you're bringing RJ back, right? And RJ, when he normally comes back in, at the top of the fourth quarter, he had been out for about 3 or 4 minutes already.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you change that? Because it's not because they're not fresh, those guys. It has to be the depth.
Yeah, I think that part of it too. I think it's the depth, and for me, I would probably change up a little bit in the third because I feel like right now in the third, that for example, this game, Sim, we played Randle the whole third quarter. The whole third.
But how does that impact the top of the fourth quarter? That's what I'm asking you.
Well, to me, it affects it because you have Obi that played pretty good in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
and then you just put him in the fourth, where it's like he's been cold. He's been sitting. He's been cold. He hasn't played you're talking about for the whole halftime, which is about 20, 30 minutes. And then you're talking about the whole third quarter. So Obi hasn't played for probably 40 minutes. And then you come in the back, and don't get me wrong, these guys got to be in game. Huh?
40?
Yeah,
40 minutes.
I don't know about 40.
Okay.
14, I would say that. Because he didn't play the entire third quarter, so 14.
But I was talking about halftime too. I was talking about
halftime is 15 minutes, and then you got.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
so you got
but
30 minutes.
okay, so you bring him back in. So let's say you bring him back with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, right? So he still sat 15 minutes for halftime. He still sat 7 minutes going into the or 9 minutes. You're still talking about 23 minutes instead of 26 minutes or 27 minutes. You know what I mean? I mean, what I'm saying is those guys got to produce whenever they get in. Because you could bring him in. I mean, for me, when you talk about bringing him back in the third quarter, because he goes out at the end of the second quarter, 4 minutes left into the second quarter, he goes out, right? To me, I don't know if because you have this long stretch of halftime and then the third quarter, I don't know if it makes too much of a difference if you bring him back with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, or if you bring him back at the top of the fourth quarter. Either way, he's got to come in off of not playing for more than 20 minutes and produce. The only thing that I feel like it impacts is Julius Randle, right? And whether or not Julius Randle, do you feel like he's tired or not? Okay, that's what it impacts to me, Julius Randle. Do you feel like he's tired at the end of the third quarter and can't produce? Or when he comes in the fourth quarter, he still has heavy legs and can't produce? I don't see how it impacts Obi at the top of the third quarter, at the top of the fourth quarter. That's what I'm not seeing. Because no matter what, he sat through halftime, and he also sat, so many minutes in the third quarter. I don't think that 3 minutes changes anything. You know what I'm saying? As far as bringing Obi back early in the third quarter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand.
I just don't see where that changes anything. If you bring him back, with 3 minutes left in the third, or if you bring him back in the fourth quarter, you got to come in and produce.
No, that's true. And to me tonight, Sim, also, this was on Thibs too with this him playing Evan Fournier. I thought that was a terrible mistake. That was a horrible mistake tonight. That didn't help us whatsoever. I thought he should have played Obi more.
Instead of playing, so you thought he should have went with 8 instead of 9?
Yes. It's a tough one.
I mean, because you say you thought he should have went with Obi more, so now you're talking about 8 players instead of 9. You talk about Hartenstein, Obi, and Deuce coming off the bench.
Because I say that because Evan Fournier was just out there doing nothing. Like at least here was the thing with Obi. Obi was producing. I mean, give me that versus
he was
Evan
out
Fournier
there with
coming.
Obi. It's not like he played over Obi. He was out there with Obi.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. So you're talking about him not playing and Obi playing more. They were playing together.
I think, Sim, I think
it's
what
not
Isaiah's
there
trying
on
to
the
say.
bench. It's just not there on the bench. Obi had a good game. To me, it's just not there on the bench.
Sam, I think what Isaiah is trying to say is that in regards to I think what Isaiah should have stuck with is if you would have put Obi out there a little bit end of the third quarter to get him, start off the fourth quarter, he'll be in a little bit of a rhythm instead of throwing him out there at the beginning of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. After sat the whole third quarter, you know what I mean? Kind of just was cold at that point. So that's something that I probably would have done. Another thing, like you said, the Knicks could have went small for this particular game. Put Randle at the 5. He was getting those rebounds anyway, and you put Obi at the 4 and go out with that lineup to give Obi Toppin a little bit more minutes on the floor. That's something I think could have worked for this particular team for this game. In a lot of games, particularly with Mitch being out, it's not like even when Mitch was out there, the Knicks was playing, great defense in the past few games when he was out there anyway, right? So this is an opportunity for the Knicks to go more small ball in a lot of these games. And I think the floor will open up for Randle and everybody else to be able to operate. Yeah, so that's something I think the Knicks can be able to do.
I think he should have went. I do think he should have went small. And at least gave it a try, see how it worked. As far as Obi in the third, I don't know. I mean, he came in the top of the second quarter and came in lighting it up at the top of the second quarter without playing in the first quarter. So I don't know. I mean, the only thing that it affects to me is, Julius Randle, whether or not we felt like he was tired down the stretch of the fourth quarter or not. Right. The reason why he does, and I agree, I don't want to see the players playing 12 minutes straight. I'd like to see him get a little bit more rest than playing 12 minutes straight. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with that 100%. But, I guess his thought process there is, okay, I'll bring Obi in. Maybe he can play 6 minutes and then, he'll be fresh come down, the last 6 minutes of the game, Julius Randle. But obviously, if a guy jumps in and is not producing, or that lineup's not producing or whatever, then it ends up being, that whole philosophy ends up changing. So, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, regardless, though, I think the Knicks still have the ability to be able to win some of these games. Despite what they don't have on the bench, they still have that ability. It's got to be able to close the games out better. Our fourth quarters have been dreadful over this losing streak. Right, our fourth quarters have been dreadful, and one way or another, the Knicks got to be able to change it. I don't know if it means resting, players a little bit differently and how they go about it. Tips changing up how he goes about that. But something has to change in order to help the Knicks with the lineup they currently have, with the players that they currently have on the roster, because trades aren't guaranteed. Right, that's not guaranteed to happen. Nope. So I think Tibbs needs to be able to make an adjustment. And the players need to be able to adjust in order to be able to close out some of these games in the fourth quarter, because that's literally where we're losing these ball games over the losing streak. Literally.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh. This is crucial time right now where we have to make an adjustment. We have to change something because it just isn't working. And again, we're not going to do we're not going to make any progress this season. To me, if we're going to keep going throughout this season, the rest of the season, winning 5, then losing 6, and then go back to winning 3 or 4, then go back to losing 5. That's, to me, not progress. You're just being a streaky-ass team that's not going to do nothing. Then you're going to go into play and then lose, and that's going to be the season, to me, with no progress. And, again, I do understand that we have to take baby steps. But to me now, man, it's time to be a little aggressive. I think now you have the picks. You have players that you can trade. You have to make a move. And you have to be smart about the move, but you have to make a move because this just isn't it. And you got to do something because, again, you're just going to continue in this motion of being mediocre, and you're not going to be bad enough to get a high draft pick, and you're not going to be good enough to make any noise in the playoffs. So
does that move have to happen during this season, or could it wait to the offseason?
I mean, me personally, to me, a minor move would be trading some of these pieces just to maybe I would like to get maybe like a Jay Crowder or something like that, where they can help boost the bench and help the perimeter defense and actually be a bigger body wing. Those are minor moves to me that you can make during the season. But during the offseason, I would say I would wait for the offseason to see what's going on with certain players. Because, again, it's been every year now that a big-name player has moved to a different team. So I wouldn't see that changing right now. So during the offseason, I would wait to make the big move. But during the season, I would want to make the smaller moves to get some bench depth, some wing depth for the team.
But my question is, do you think that bench depth piece or whatever piece is going to change up the fact that the Knicks are going to win X amount of games and lose X amount of games? Is that going to make us less streaky and less mediocre? That's the question. And if you're quick, and our second question that you can answer, and if that's the case, is that said player worth giving up draft picks for, long-term draft assets for? That's the question you have to ask yourself, because at that point you're sacrificing long-term for short-term. So.
Yeah, well, for me, right, that's why I'm saying I'm comfortable with a guy like Jay Crowder, because I don't think he's going to cost you that much. I don't think Jay Crowder's going to get you a first. You're not going to have to give up a first-round pick for Jay Crowder. That's pretty much a dub. I think probably like a Cam Reddish or like a second rounder would get you Jay Crowder, one of those kind of guys, to boost the bench, and you're not really losing anything when it comes to guys like that. Or maybe if you want to take a I was going to say one more thing. If you want to take a bigger swing at maybe a Gary Trent Jr. or OG, that's probably more of an off-season thing I'll probably wait for, because you can kind of assess your picks, and you can probably trade. You most likely have to give up 2 or 3 first-round picks for OG. So it depends.
If it's Fournier that we're moving, I think we're going to have to get rid of a first-round pick to get off his contract, because he's cash guaranteed money for next year. So the other two, I agree with you. Cam, Derrick Rose, that I definitely would agree with you on that. But I think if we're getting rid of Fournier, we're probably going to have to get rid of a first-round pick, because he is guaranteed money for next year. So that's the only issue that the Knicks have in that regard. But I agree with everything else you said.
The only thing I would say is to Isaiah, about, waiting till the summer, this and that. When the deal comes, if it's a good deal, you do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if you're saying, I don't know if you're saying I would wait to pursue it until then. Like, I wouldn't pursue those guys until the summer or this or that. If you like Gary Trent Jr. and he's available now, and you can get him at a reasonable price and, a good deal, then I think you do it. Or OG Anunoby or whoever it is. I think you do it because, if you wait, then other people can jump in there, right? I think you get it done.
I agree with you with the Gary Trent, right? If there's a fair trade for Gary Trent Jr., then you have to take it. You have to take one of those, because those guys, he's a 20-point scorer in the league. He's on a championship team, he's like a 15-point scorer. On a team like the Raptors, he's a 20-point scorer. So you got to take those kind of guys. If it was somebody for like OG, I would probably wait some, because I'm not the biggest fan of huge blockbuster trades mid-season.
Why?
I don't know. Sometimes I just
call that a blockbuster. That wouldn't be a blockbuster.
No. That would, that's not. I'm not saying that would be. I'm just not.
You just said a big blockbuster trade.
I got Sim. I know you're gonna kill. You're gonna kill me. Sim, you're gonna kill me when I say this. But I still have PTSD from Carmelo Anthony midseason trades. Yeah, I do. I look. You gutted. We're not going to talk about it. We already know what happened. But when you gut your whole team in the midseason, I'm just not a big fan of that. I would rather.
Did the Knicks make the playoffs that year? Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
See, I'm not going to get into this argument with you, Sim. We're not going to do it tonight. We're not going to do it tonight, Sim.
You need to go to a doctor. If you still got PST, you need to go to a doctor. Then, because if you can make the trade, you got to get it done. In my opinion, you got to get it done. If it's there, like, what you waiting for? Somebody else to jump in and give you, give a better offer. Make the move. If it's an offer that you feel you can stomach, you make the move. That's the way I feel about it. You're playing around with it, eh? You mess around and then lose the player that you want to get.
Yeah, but
because we also have to keep in mind, and one of the reasons why, Josh keeps talking about, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, keeps talking about, not giving up draft picks, for short-term, success or, whatever you want to call it, it's because there's a bigger goal than just this year's playoffs in mind, right? There's a bigger goal in building the basketball team. So you don't want to, it's not, it's the bigger goal. I'll just keep saying that. There's a bigger goal than just this year's making the playoffs, All right, you want to be good long term. You want to eventually be a championship level team. You know what I'm saying? So, if a trade comes, you might say, oh, we can trade for OG Anunoby or whoever right now. We got it right here, but it's going to mess up our chances for the playoffs this year. Let's just say that's what the thinking was. Well, you know what? If this is a guy that you think is going to help you in the future, if you think that he's going to elevate your team to one day being a championship level team, then you make the move, right? Because that still is the goal, right? That's the goal, to get better, not just right now, but to hopefully one day be a championship level team.
And I believe his contract expires in 2 years from now, right? So you still have him for 2 years as opposed to someone who's coming in on an expiring contract, right? He has a player option. He's guaranteed money for next year. The season after that is a player option at $19 million, right? So that's something you take, more of a chance on, because that's not just for this season; it's for next year and potentially the year after that. But for an expiring contract, I'm not giving up a first-round pick who is going to be here for the future, right? Whether you trade that pick or whether you actually make the draft pick, they're going to be here for at least another 3 to 4 years if you make the pick. You know what I'm saying? So are you sacrificing, what's the end goal for this particular season? What are we trying to do, right? And can the Knicks actually accomplish that goal with bringing in a player like OG Anunoby this season? Are we going to be much better than what we are now from a win-loss perspective, from a seeding perspective? How does that help us in the playoffs, depending on our matchup, right? If we fall into a playing situation and we play a 2 seed or a 1 seed, right, are we going to be able to beat those teams? So what's the end goal for the season? So
yeah, a lot the Knicks got to think about over the next couple of weeks as we go into the trade deadline. The first thing they got to do is figure out, how to play some defense, how to pull these games out in the fourth quarter, stop giving the game away. What they're going to do over the next couple of weeks between the trade deadline and fixing up what they're doing on the court, their rotations, all of that. This stretch right here is important and could determine, what happens with the Knicks as far as the playoffs or the play-in. It really could. This is a critical stretch for the Knicks right now. They're currently in the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, 1 game behind the Miami Heat, half a game above the Atlanta Hawks. All right, they sit in the 7th seed right now, firmly in that 7th seed, ladies and gentlemen. They got the Cleveland Cavaliers coming up, the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not sure if it's that order. It's definitely the Cleveland Cavaliers on Tuesday. And then it could be the Celtics and the Nets, or the Nets and the Celtics. I'm not exactly sure what the order is.
Man.
Actually, I think it's the Celtics and then the Nets. It's the Cavs, the Celtics, and then the Nets on Saturday, I believe.
Tough.
So,
tough.
Yeah, that's tough.
And then we got Miami somewhere in between there too.
And Miami's going to be in there, it's definitely a tough schedule coming up. You know what I mean? And the Knicks, they better learn how to fix some things quick, real quick. They better learn how to fix it quick.
Oh, man.
Because if not, it's going to be a wrap.
I mean, Sim, you know what's crazy, Sim, man? I felt so bad. I thought about this. I felt like me and you cursed the Knicks, because I swear that game against the Raptors, we were talking. I was like, Sim, you think we going to get the 30 wins? He was like, we going to get the 30 wins.
I mean, we're going to get the 30 wins. It may not be by the trade deadline. It might be. I mean, what we got right now? 25 wins?
Yeah, 25.
25 and 22, right? 25 and 23, something
25
like
and 23 right now. You know what I mean?
So 2 games over 500.
They got 5 games to go to get to it, but the schedule is tough, so we'll see.
Man, so you know what bothers me the most, Sim? Is that, man, we these jokers, we cannot get any consistency, man. It's like, dang, we gotta lose 8 straight just to. I feel like when we go on winning streaks, we don't move nowhere. We don't move the needle. We stay at the 6th seed. We go on a losing streak.
Well, that's because the bottom half of the conference, or that middle part of the conference, 6 through 10, all within 2 games or something of each other. So yeah, but when you go
It's been like that the
5,
whole season.
yeah, when you go 5-1, like they're, I mean, Cleveland is 10 games above 500. The Knicks are 2 games above 500, right? Miami is 4 games above 500 or something like that. You know what I mean? So there's a separation between that 5th and 6th seed already. And then from the 6th seed to the 10th seed, they're closer together. That's why. That's where we are. That's where we are right now. That's where we are. Yep, the Knicks got the Cavs, the Celtics, the Nets, the Lakers, the Heat, the Clippers.
Oh, my God.
Clippers are balling now, too. They got Kawhi back.
Yeah, they got a schedule coming up, ladies and
surprisingly,
gentlemen.
we play the Clippers pretty well, usually.
They got a tough schedule. As a matter of fact, when we were looking back at, not looking back, when we were looking forward at the beginning of the season, this was about the time that the Knicks started a really, really tough schedule. Right, when we were looking at it. So you got the Cavaliers, the Celtics, the Nets, the Lakers, the Miami Heat, the Clippers, then the 76ers. Right, then you get a break with Orlando, then you got the 76ers again, Utah Jazz, the Nets.
I can't even call Orlando a break.
The Hawks, the Wizards, the Pelicans, the Celtics, the Nets, the Heat, the Celtics,
oh
the
my
Hornets,
God.
Then the Kings, the Clippers, the Lakers, Portland, Denver, Minnesota, Miami.
That's a West Coast trip, right? That's a West Coast trip, which was
Yeah, but starting Tuesday, it's just it's a buzzsaw of a schedule. Really is. Again, Cleveland, Boston, Brooklyn, Lakers, Miami, the Clippers, Philadelphia, Orlando, Philadelphia, Utah, Brooklyn, Atlanta, the Wizards, the Pelicans, the Celtics, the Nets, Miami, Boston, Charlotte, Sacramento, the Clippers, the Lakers again, Portland, Denver, Minnesota, Miami, Orlando, Houston, Miami, Cleveland, Washington, the Pacers, the Pelicans, the Pacers. That is a buzzsaw of a schedule to finish off this season.
So you telling me we had a soft schedule?
We need that caller to call back to say we're going to win 26 games in a row. We need him to call back.
Where you at, bro? Where you at?
Help us a little bit. Yeah, you got to call back.
Sam, I got it. Somebody said something. Somebody said, and this is true, Sim. It's the only way we got to think. Jay Williams said it. Kevon said it. One game at a time.
Oh, that's how you get. Yeah, one game at a time. They got to focus one game at a time, without a doubt. But I'm just saying that it's a tough schedule, man.
Man, Sim, that's
it's brutal. It's a buzzsaw.
But you know what, too, Sim? This is where you think about all those games we should have won. The Dallas game, the Chicago game. All those games, Sim, it sucks because those games could have helped us with some cushion. Where we lost those. How many games we lost by 6 or less for now? Or something like that?
No, I'm not sure how many, but there's a few of them.
Yeah. So
at least 15,
I mean,
at least 15 of them.
Yeah. So, man, we gotta take this one game at a time because holy moly guacamole, that's Sim, that's a hell of a way to end the season.
Yep, it is. Hopefully they're prepared for it, because it's going to be a tough stretch. You know what I mean? They're gonna have to buckle down. I'm hoping that Leon Rose finds a way to get some help in here. Bench help in here. I'm talking about tough defender, guy who can score. I'm more concerned about a wing player, but obviously now you might be looking at some depth at the center spot. It's gonna be tough, but we'll see if they can stay afloat. Right? Can they stay afloat? Rebuild. NYK says stay afloat until the All-Star break. It's going to be a battle, but let's see if they can do so. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. But anyway, I'm going to get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll probably try to jump on sometime tomorrow morning and do a short show, just kind of looking at really taking a deep look at the schedule that's coming up. But I'm going to get up out of here. Josh, anything you want to say before we get out?
Knicks would be okay. To people in the chat, personally, my personal thing is I don't want to sacrifice long term for short term for a team that's mediocre. I don't think there's any player that's really out there. Many players. I'm going to say many players. I think there might be a couple players out there that are short of star status right now that can help us and get us above mediocre right now. But anything else, to me, it's a waste. Particularly if you're talking about giving up first round picks. Kyle Kuzma, I'm just gonna put that one out there. I think Kyle Kuzma is one of those players.
Thank you, Josh. Yes,
not necessarily a star player, but I think he has the potential to get there if you add him to this team. I don't know what Washington will be asking for him, a player of his caliber, but I think that's someone that can help us right now, immediately. And one last thing I just want to say, these double teams are coming for Julius Randle. Get closer to the paint. Tibbs, get him closer to the paint so he's not taking the ball on the perimeter. And I think some of those turnovers will cut down.
All right. Isaiah?
Sam, great show. Josh, I can't believe I've done it again. We agreed for most of the point. I know, right? I'm starting to become more. Is Josh becoming my friend? No. I'm gonna say this real quick. Josh, I do.
Come on, man.
Oh, what the?
Come on, stop messing around. Leave Josh alone.
Okay, Darth Vader. My bad, Baby White. No, so that's crazy. Oh man, I don't even know what to say. But no, I do agree with you.
Why you get so confused so easy? Come on, man.
I did, man. I do, Josh. I fully agree with you. I think Kyle Kuzma would be literally the perfect fit for the Knicks. You could put Grimes to the bench, move RJ back to the 2, put Kyle Kuzma at the 3, and I think then you have a tall lineup. Now you have a tall lineup that can play. Those guys can play. Can switch and play defense. I like that. We haven't touched such a basketball, but like Jay Williams, Kayvon said, you have to play one game at a time. I do think the Knicks will be fine. We just have to make that trade during the All-Star break, and we can do some stuff. It's just gonna be rough, but great show, Shin. You already know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. We're gonna get up out of here. Ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go. We out. On one.
Yo, what the hell?
We're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Be peaceful. One.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.